Hi, I'm back at the Astana Economic Forum, and with me today I have Hans Timmer, Chief Economist for Europe and Central Asia of the World Bank. Mr. Timmer, thank you so much for agreeing for this interview.
Thank you for having me.
How do you assess Kazakhstan's economic situation, current economic situation, and the current economic situation in Central Asia?
When you look at growth, then last year was good. So that's positive news. So many countries rebounded from the problems that started at the end of 2014. At the same time, there are still major challenges to be overcome. Many countries haven't completely diversified their economy, which is only possible if you unleash the potential in the private sector. And for that, there's still a long way to go in Central Asia.
Exactly. You mentioned about diversification of economy and that Kazakhstan also has to diversify its economy. Given that, how does Kazakhstan do it? Given it has giant neighbors like Russia and China with enormous production and manufacturing capacities.
No, I think the giant neighbors are actually an opportunity to engage with them. They create an export opportunity. I think in general the observation is that the conditions are now much better than, say, 5 years ago. That's partly because of the real depreciation, which creates opportunity towards China, towards Europe. We expect a lot more regional integration because of all kinds of developments, and then you have the Belt and Road initiatives that create opportunities. So in my view, there are now opportunities, for example, in horticulture or in the service sector or in the ICT sector that were not there 5 years ago. And the task for the government is not so much to direct those initiatives, but to unleash the potential, to create an environment where new companies can develop and can grow.
You mentioned the One Belt, One Road initiative. How do you think China's Belt and Road initiative will ultimately impact the region's growth?
Ultimately, the objective is that it creates better jobs in Kazakhstan. So it is not just about transferring goods from China to Europe and just being
being a bridge.
Being a bridge, that's not good enough. And so if it creates the opportunities to add value to products, to develop more of the private sector potential that is there, then it is very good for Kazakhstan. And I see opportunities there because the potential of more international competition in the private sector is there. You need transportation to bring it to the global markets, and at the same time you see, for example, that the Chinese want to invest also in Central Asia, and so that is another opportunity. I think that ultimately it will lead to more exports to China. It will lead to high value added exports to Europe while maintaining the strong relationships with Russia.
At this forum, many speakers are speaking and talking, discussing about digital economy and digital transformations. How do you think this digital transformations in industries will affect economies and shift powers?
I myself talked in a forum on that, and this afternoon with the Prime Minister I will have another opportunity. I think the digital revolution is transformational. And it is not just about ICT jobs, it's not about programmers, but it really changes the way we all work. It makes labor markets much more flexible. Think about Uber, think about other initiatives. It changes the way we work. It's no longer large factories using economies of scale. It makes fragmentation of production possible, which creates opportunities for small firms to work together in networks. It changes the way we do commerce, and increasingly services are tradable. That is true for education, it is true for healthcare, so it really transforms the whole economy.
Since we're going through so many transformations in so many areas, what do you think are the future jobs? What do they look like? What are the skills that we should be looking at now?
I think you need more entrepreneurial skills because increasingly people will be self-employed. They will have shorter term jobs, they will have perhaps more than one job at the same time. That means that education has to be different. You have to develop much more what we call the social emotional jobs that start very early on in life, so there's a focus on early childhood education. I don't think that we can forecast exactly what kind of jobs will come, but people will have to be much more flexible. That means also that social protection systems will have to change, no longer just related to the people who have long-term permanent jobs in big factories, but much more universal, applying to everyone. It is something that requires lots of change of individuals, it requires change in the education system, but it requires also change for the government.
Thank you so much. This was very interesting.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And we have more live interviews for you today, so stay with us.